This segment is going to be heavily controversial in the sense that what you're about to hear is incredibly utopian in nature. I'm going to advocate for the socialization of YouTube. Now understand that my views are not necessarily views that I would die on a hill on per se, but I definitely want to spark a conversation, at least a productive one. I first want to start by talking about how YouTube makes itself incredibly unique. And it's the way that advertisers pay for their advertisements. On YouTube, if you want to advertise on YouTube, you cannot control where your advertisements are placed. At least that's what that was the original intent behind advertisements on YouTube. And this allowed YouTube creators to basically talk about whatever they want because they wouldn't have to fear disappointing their advertisers. This greatly contrasts with television. If you want to run an ad on television, you have to fork over millions of dollars. And so you have news media outlets, corporate news media outlets, I should say, like CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. They run segments that please their advertisers, because if you don't please your advertisers, you potentially lose millions of dollars. And so you typically never hear arguments for raising taxes on CNN, Fox News, or MSNBC. But you hear a lot of that on YouTube. You hear a lot of controversial things on YouTube. That is beginning to change in a way that is incredibly dangerous. Recently, David Pakman ran a video, and I want to show you guys, where he talked about Apocalypse 2.0. And he is absolutely right about this. YouTube is beginning to demonetize videos that are hardly controversial in nature. And this is really bad because if I want to talk about, for example, Somalia or Venezuela, these are countries where there are a lot of political things involved and heavily controversial and, in fact, conspiratorial ideas behind them. So, for example, I've done a segment on how there is a shadow war going on in Somalia right now, or that the US is doing a coup in Venezuela. Those are very controversial topics. And I know that if advertisers knew they were running ads on my videos, they'd probably want to no longer run their ads. Well, that being said, those videos are demonetized. So David Pakman has talked about how a lot of his videos have been demonetized simply for going against people doing speeches at liberty, which is incredibly ridiculous because those aren't even controversial in nature. So I could advocate for simply regulating YouTube, where YouTube is no longer allowed to demonetize based on the content of the video. And so you might have Coca-Cola running ads on racist YouTube videos. And I do understand that certain speech should be limited if it, advocates for violence. So for example, if I say that, you should go kill yourself, that should be something that should be demonetized. In fact, it should be taken down, and there should be community strikes involved on that kind of content. But when it comes to controversial videos that seem conspiratorial in nature, if you silence that speech, you are greatly, greatly limiting political commentary. And unfortunately, this video is probably going to get flagged simply because I mentioned Somalia and Venezuela. Because YouTube is able to do automatic captions and determine that I have said the words Somalia and Venezuela, and immediately it's going to demonetize this video. In my view, that's incredibly dangerous. So I can't talk about those things. I can't talk about controversial things. And the same goes for, by the way, right-wing YouTube channels. If you've taken a look at Actual Justice Warrior, he has some 44,000 subscribers right now, maybe more. And he's talked about how he has been demonetized for just sharing things that are conspiratorial in nature. Now, when I go on his YouTube channel, there are a lot of things that I disagree with him with. But that being said, I don't think he should be demonetized. I don't think that he should have a disincentive to talk about the things that he believes in. Because in my view, YouTube is huge. There's nowhere else we can go. YouTube at this point is so large that I can't go anywhere else. and feel like I have free speech in the sense that people are going to listen to me. And this is the same case for TYT, Secular Talk, David Pakman, Progressive Voice, Humanist Report, the National Rational, even places like Daily Wire. All of us rely on monetization, and we want to be able to speak about various things, even regardless of how controversial they may seem. And so you might say, let's just regulate YouTube and require that they just monetize all videos and take down videos that involve threats or incite to violence. That's a good idea. That's a good start in my view. But we have another issue, and that is that YouTube can eventually just raise the share that they want to collect. So right now they collect about half or so. But they might eventually decide, you know what, I want 80% of the revenue. And you might say, well, the free market can control that. But we're talking about YouTube, something that has an insanely large social support. It would be incredibly difficult for another competitor to rise up against YouTube. And so in my view, if we socialize YouTube, we can regulate it, make sure that it's regulated, but we can also still have ads. And YouTube creators can take in a large chunk of those ads. And this would allow for a large amount of free speech because no one's actually regulating us in what we can say so long as it's not threatening or inciting violence. And in my view, I think that this is the only way of moving forward because I technically just don't trust YouTube, and I don't like that YouTube takes so much money from its content creators. The same actually is happening with online instruction. Take a look at all the blog posts about Udemy. If you're not familiar with Udemy, it's an online platform that allows you to learn from various instructors. And it's great in the sense that Udemy promotes and markets their content creators in really beneficial ways, just like YouTube promotes their own content creators. But I believe that you can do that while not taking a giant cut from us. Like the amount that they take from on Udemy and YouTube is so unacceptable. But I understand that YouTube wants to grow, and YouTube is growing, and Google and Alphabet want to grow in general. They're a giant corporation, and they want to get bigger and bigger, and I understand that incentive. It's a financial incentive. But YouTube is a medium for free speech. And in my view, if you have any medium of free speech, it should be made free, fair, and public. So I'm doing another video on how I believe that the internet should be made public, and I recommend you guys taking a look at that video. But in my view, if free speech is involved and that it's controlled by a corporation, there is something there that's really, really disturbing in nature, just incredibly awkward, that I have to please YouTube in certain ways. And I don't like that. I would much rather create content based on my own political views, based on things that are controversial in nature. But I would like to not care about it, because if advertisers don't know where their ads run, then we can just have the government use the same sorts of algorithms that YouTube has used and have those algorithms geared towards, the advertisers, so that advertisers can be advertised on YouTube videos that are likely to, or they could advertise to viewers that are likely to click on that content. And this is the way that YouTube works is incredibly brilliant, guys. Like, my videos are being shared not randomly, but to people who are likely to watch my content. So if you're this far already in the video, there's a good chance that YouTube picked you specifically because they thought that you would enjoy this content. And most likely, at this point, you're probably a subscriber. And if you're not, join the club. We just reached 1,000 subscribers, so this channel is growing in a way that's, I think, really good. Now, understand, I don't like the concept of socialism. Socialism is by definition social ownership of the means of production. And in my view, I think that there needs to be a government. I also believe that there needs to be a capitalistic environment, but that we have social and economic interventions to promote social justice, like Medicare for all, free public college and universities, a living wage. But I still believe in capitalism and democracy. But in my view, YouTube is a medium for free speech, and therefore it must be regulated heavily by the government, to say the least.